Hello friends, I'm George, the nice medic gentleman. Welcome back to the channel guys, I hope that all of you are doing well. A couple of weeks ago I did a video in which I talked about 5 original scents, designer and niche scents, and I showed you a total of 10 of their best alternatives slash clones. Basically for each original fragrance I showed you 2 alternatives. And today I'm going to do part 2 of the very same topic. So in this video today I'm going to talk about 5 more original designer and niche scents, and I'm going to give you 10 of their best alternatives slash clones. So 2 alternatives again for every original scent. The first original fragrance that I'm going to talk about and show you alternatives for will be from the house of Paco Rabanne, and the original is called Invictus Victory Elixir. It was launched last year, and it's sort of a modern take on the Invictus DNA. It's sweet, it's powdery, it's playful, it's youthful. It's a great fragrance for the cold weather, a great nighttime scent, a great date night scent, with great performance and a very high compliment factor. But it tends to be a little bit expensive. So right now I'm going to show you 2 alternatives for Invictus Victory Elixir. The first one comes from Khadlaj and it's called Epoque Artistique, and the second one comes from Fragrance World and it's called Invictus Victory Elixir. When it comes to Epoque Artistique, this is not a direct clone, a straight up clone. This can be thought of more like an fragrance that's been very heavily inspired by Invictus Victory Elixir. It has more woodsy notes compared to the original scent, feels slightly less powdery, but still scent-wise it's a very close to the original fragrance. Has fantastic performance, very strong scent, very long lasting, comes very luxuriously packaged. You get a very nice bottle, very heavy bottle, great sprayer all around. The packaging and the presentation is really good. Price tag slightly higher than most other clones on the markets, but again you get great quality in return. The only problem that I have with Epoque Artistique is actually the fact that it sometimes can be a little bit hard to find, and that's a shame in my opinion, because people who like the original Invictus Victory Elixir should have an easier chance on trying out Epoque Artistique. When it comes to the Invictus Victory Elixir from the house of Fragrance World, this is more of a straight up clone. It's slightly closer to the original fragrance than the Khadlaj fragrance. It feels pretty close to the original fragrance scent-wise, has a very good performance, again, not as good as Epoque Artistique and not as good as the original, but still, performance-wise, there are absolutely no issues. It has, again, a very good quality of the scent. All around it's really nicely done. The only thing that I don't like about Invictus Victory Elixir is actually the bottle design, which in my opinion looks kind of goofy, but other than that this is actually a great offering from the brand of Fragrance World. It's very cheap, in fact it's a cheaper alternative compared to Epoque Artistique, but again, like most other Fragrance World scents, at least at the moment, can be a little bit hard to find, at least around here in Europe. If I have to pick up just one of them, I will go with Epoque Artistique from Khadlaj. The next original fragrance that I'm going to talk about and show you alternatives for will be from the house of Carolina Herrera, and it's part of their private line of fragrances, and the original fragrance is called Mystery Tobacco. It's a great tobacco-based fragrance that has quite a lot of sweetness, quite a lot of spiciness as well, and also has a bit of a boozy vibe in it. It's great fragrance, I really like the scent profile, I really like the original, but because it's a part of the private line, it's quite expensive. It's pretty much, the pricing is up there with the niche pricing. So again, I'm going to show you 2 alternatives. The first one comes from Paris Corner and their Pandora scents, and it's called Mysterious Tobacco, and the second one comes from Maison Alhambra and it's called Exclusive Tobacco. Both of them are really close to the original fragrance. Both of them carry very similar scent profile to the original. Both of them have, the sweet, spicy, tobacco-based scents with a lot of vanillic sweetness, ambery sweetness, a nice amount of spiciness, good quality of the tobacco notes, nice amount of booziness as well. Both of them are really nice. But if I have to pick up a winner, out of the two, for me the winner will be Exclusive Tobacco from Maison Alhambra. I think this fragrance has slightly better quality compared to Mysterious Tobacco. It also, at least in my opinion, in my experience, has had better performance, a little bit better performance compared to the Paris Corner scent. Feels slightly more boozy, and the tobacco note just feels a little bit stronger in here. The next original fragrance that I'm going to talk about and give you alternatives for will be from the house of Dior, and it's called Dior Sauvage Elixir. One of the probably the most hyped up designer fragrances at the moment, and has been in that way in the past couple of years, ever since it got released, I think in 2021 or 2022. And again, fantastic fragrance, very high quality, very long lasting. The first sort of an elixir fragrance that hit the markets and started this new trend. But again, the main problem with the original scent is the price tag. It's very expensive for a designer fragrance, especially considering the fact that it's a regular fragrance, not something that comes from the private Dior line. So again, I'm going to give you two alternatives. The first one is the one that's probably the most known fragrance, one of the first clones of Sauvage Elixir to hit the markets. It comes from the house of Lattafa, and it's called Assad. And then the second one will be the latest clone of Sauvage Elixir that I got in my collection. It comes from the house of Al Haramain, and it's called Aslan Oud Blue Edition. When it comes to Assad from Lattafa, this is a slightly more mature, slightly sweeter, more vanillic take on the original DNA. It lacks a bit of the spiciness in the opening, in fact quite a lot of the spiciness in the opening, a lot of the sharpness of the original fragrance. It has more vanillic sweetness. It has less licorice in here compared to the original scent, but other than that, it's actually done very nicely. Performance is good, especially after a few months of maceration. All around, this is a very good alternative for Dior Sauvage Elixir. Price tag usually is pretty low, and this has been a real hit for Lattafa. And then when it comes to Aslan Oud Blue Edition from Al Haramain, as I said, this is the latest Dior Sauvage Elixir clone that I got in my collection, and in my opinion, to this day, this is the best Elixir clone that I have tried. Quality here is absolutely fantastic, almost on par with the original fragrance. You get a luxurious presentation, you get a magnetic cap, you get a very nice pressurized sprayer. That's pretty much as good as the original fragrance. The quality, the ingredients in here that Al Haramain have used have really high quality. All around, it's a fantastic clone of Dior Sauvage Elixir. It has, again, it's slightly different, feels a little bit more citrusy in the opening, more grapefruity, slightly more airy because of the way that the lavender note has been used. On the dry down, feels a little bit more ambery sweet compared to the original scent, and again lacks a bit of the licorice, the strength of the licorice note that the original has. But other than that, this is really good and is closer to the original fragrance. But if I have to choose one of those two, if I'm going for something with the best quality, it will be Aslan Oud Blue Edition. Also, this is closer to the original scent. But if I have to take more of a sort of a clever approach, I'll go with Assad, because this thing costs 2 to 3 times less compared to Aslan Oud Blue Edition. The next original fragrance that I'm going to show you alternatives for comes from the house of YSL, and it's called La Nuit de l'Homme Bleu Electrique. A pretty famous fragrance in the community, which has a very good scent profile. But for me, the biggest reason why this was so sort of famous in the community is by the fact that it had a very scarce availability, and a lot of parts of the world didn't have any chance at getting the original fragrance. And since that's the case, and the original was quite popular and good, it spawned quite a few clones. I have a total of 3 clones in my collection, but today I'm going to show you 2 of them. The first one comes from the house of Lattafa and their Al Nashama line, and it's called Al Nashama Caprice. And then the second one comes from the house of Fragrance World, and it's called Jack of Clubs. Both of them are really good. I actually enjoy both of them almost equally. I enjoy the original fragrance as well, really a lot. And so, whichever one you pick out of those 2, you'll not make a mistake. But there again are a few minor differences. Al Nashama Caprice feels a little bit more powdery, a little bit like it has a little bit stronger lavender note, a little bit more woodsy, and just comes off a little bit more powdery. But the scent profile here is done really nicely. The quality is really good. The price tag is really low, and this really performs, it outperforms the original no problem. It lasts longer compared to the original fragrance, and where this really sort of smashes to pieces the original is the projection. I don't know why, maybe because of that sort of a powdery lavender slash woodsy scent profile that this has. It just, you know, projects a lot harder compared to the original fragrance. Pretty much you can think of this like the original but on steroids, especially when it comes to projection. When it comes to Jack of Clubs from Fragrance World, yet again this is a great offering, but again it's slightly different. Here it has more of a citrusy freshness compared to the ginger freshness that you get out of the original fragrance, and on the dry down feels a little bit more ambery sweet compared to the original, but again it's really nicely done. Comes uniquely packaged. You get an interesting looking bottle, you get a pack of cards included into the whole packaging. It's a really nice alternative. Again, when it comes to performance, this beats the original fragrance. It projects a little bit harder compared to the original, not as hard as Al Nashama Caprice, but still harder than the original, and lasts a little bit longer compared to the original. Again, whichever one you pick up, you won't make a mistake because both of them are great. If I have to pick up just one out of the two, I'll go with Jack of Clubs. And the last original fragrance that I'm going to talk about and give you alternatives for will be none other than the famous Parfums de Marly's Layton. The original scent is very likable, very easy to wear niche fragrance, one of the most popular niche fragrances out there, and probably the most popular fragrance from the house of Parfums de Marly. It's such a likable scent that has spawned quite a few clones, and I have quite a few clones in my collection. And today I'm going to give you two options as an alternatives out of those clones that I have. The first one comes from Al Haramain, and it's none other than the famous Detour Noir. And the second one again comes from Al Haramain actually, but it's a sort of a sub-brand from of Al Haramain that's called Orientica, and the fragrance is called Exclusive Oud Bleu. Both of them are again really good alternatives to the original scent, but you know, here Detour Noir is the way cheaper choice. It has a very low price tag, it comes really cheaply packaged, and the bottle design and the quality of the bottle feels really cheap, but that doesn't matter because the scent inside actually is really good. Very close to the original fragrance, maybe feels a bit more sort of has a bit more of a menthol you know, edge compared to the original scent. Doesn't feel as warm and as sweet as the original scent, but those are really minor differences. Performance here, especially considering the price tag, is really low, and all around this is probably the cheapest and at the same time one of the best alternatives for Parfums de Marly's Layton. On the other hand, we have Orientica Exclusive Oud Bleu, which is totally the opposite when it comes to quality. Packaging here is fantastic, bottle design is fantastic, bottle quality is fantastic, the spray is fantastic. All around it's way better when it comes to quality. The only problem with this fragrance is that it only comes in a 60 ml bottle size, and that it's like 3 to 4 times more expensive than you know, Detour Noir. Other than that though, very close to the original fragrance. Maybe feels a little bit more spicy in the opening, like a hint more spicy, but other than that super close. And in fact my bottle of Exclusive Oud Bleu outperforms my bottle of Layton. That's how good of a clone Exclusive Oud Bleu is. The only problem with this fragrance, two problems. The first one is that it's quite expensive, costs 60 to 70 euros here in Europe. And the second problem with this one is availability. Can be pretty hard to find sometimes. If I have to choose just one out of the two, only based on the quality, I'll go with Exclusive Oud Bleu. But the reality is that if you can get your hands on Detour Noir, you don't really need any other clone of Layton. And so guys, in today's video I talked about 5 more original designer and niche fragrances, and I showed you 10 more alternatives for those original scents. I hope that you found this video interesting. If you did, give it a like, and I also hope that you're going to join me in the next one. And until then, stay safe and bye bye.